Hey guys, welcome to Ready Up. The big headline this week is going to be the Stronghold public beta, which I know my friend Hugh Norfolk here is a little excited about.
I'm super excited about it.
Just a little bit.
I'm really freaking excited about it.
Yeah, so Hugh is the game designer that's in charge of working on the content side of Stronghold, so kind of like how the map works. Obviously worked in tandem with Tears of Power, our environment artist on the competitive team. And also Darren Claypool did a lot of work on the map.
Yeah, he did.
And a little shout out to Brandon G out there who did the work on the UI.
Yes, the UI is amazing.
So anyways, guys, Stronghold public beta. So next week, starting at 12 p.m. PST on Tuesday, April 14th, you, that's
right.
Anybody who is a current, actually anyone who owns Guild Wars 2 will be able to play Stronghold for 24 hours. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So we're really excited for that. I know we're going to be at the office pretty much all night playing with you guys, hopefully. So the goal of today's show is to kind of give you guys a tutorial. I know we've done it before. We've explained how the map works, but we're going to do it one more time. We're going to talk a little bit about strategy. We want to make sure that you're using your time effectively in the 24 hours you guys have on the map. Kind of lower that learning curve there. Maybe talk about some popular builds, some popular strategies you try to employ. That way you guys are just having a lot of fun on that first beta event.
Yeah, definitely.
So also, just a minor note, we also do have a 75% sale, which is currently going on, right meow.
Yeah.
And so if you have some friends who are interested in picking up the game, maybe want to try out Stronghold, they can jump in right now for the lowest cost ever. So definitely check that out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, for you guys that are currently invested in playing Guild Wars 2, one other thing I want to mention is we do have a live stream next Tuesday, a 23-hour live stream.
Give you guys a break that 1 hour.
Yeah, just 1 hour break. You can grab some snacks, use the restroom, but we expect you to be at your PCs the other 23 hours.
Buckle up, baby.
Yeah, buckle up. There's like a South Park episode about this.
Right.
Don't use the term.
Please.
So anyways, we'll have a bunch of community members out there. I think we're actually kicking off the stream at 1 p.m. PST next Tuesday with Blue, who's a well-known guy out there. You guys are all familiar with him. Starting at 2 p.m. until 4, we'll have some devs on. And actually, between 3 and 4, we're going to have a little showdown.
A little competition.
Yeah, it's nothing big. Select members from the Living World team have decided to challenge the PvP team in combat. So it's actually, we're calling it the Battle of the Bands.
That's right.
Living World team is going under the moniker Fun Direction. And the competitive team is going under System of a Downed.
That's right.
So a little Battle of the Bands there on Tuesday from 3 to 4. Hope you guys tune in. We got a little bet going on.
There is a little one. Just a little one.
Yeah, we're thinking we might make some shirts for the losing team. Depends on who wins, who loses, right? But
I mean, we all know who's going to lose.
There's going to be some shame involved.
Oh, definitely.
So anyways, guys, that's 3 to 4. Actually, me and Hugh will be shoutcasting that.
Yeah, definitely. We won't. They set the best players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. We didn't want it to be a landslide, so I'm sitting out. I want Hugh to feel good about himself, so he's going to sit out too. Feel like he's part of this little elite group.
The elite one.
Anyways, guys, so we're going to jump right in and start talking about Stronghold here. If you guys know the basics, you can zone out for maybe 5 minutes or so while we explain the basic map mechanics, and then we're going to jump in and talk about some strategy.
Yep.
So, Hugh, as we transition into this beautiful screenshot that I created here.
That's beautiful.
This is Stronghold.
It is.
How does it work?
So Stronghold is a new map coming with, obviously, the Guild Wars 2 expansion, Heart of Thorns. It is a 5-on-5 map where the objective is to kill the enemy lord. Protect your lord, obviously, and kill the enemy lord. Whoever kills the enemy lord first wins the map.
All right. Let me put my notes here real quick here. All right. So we've got a lot of objectives on this map.
Yes.
A lot more than Conquest, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot of things you have to be paying attention to. Your main resource in this map is going to be players, I would say. That's not something we actually call out in the map exactly, right? But really, there's so many different options and places to go and just like layers of strategy on this map. Basically, telling your team where to go and when to go is going to be very important, actually, winning the map here.
Yes.
So let's kind of start going through and talking about the objectives here. You mentioned the Guild Lord.
Yes.
Now, there's a unique mechanic with the Guild Lord here, right? Something that you haven't seen before if you played Legacy of the Foefire.
Yeah.
When you defeat the Guild Lord, that's not the end, right?
No, actually, the lords have a downstate. So that gives a lot more play of actually having, when you kill the lord, you can't just spike it and kill it and forget it. You actually have to commit even further by having someone stomp that lord out, as well as the defending team has more opportunities to bring that lord back up. Banners, any kind of res utilities, as well as just being able to pick them up by just interacting with them and picking them up that way.
Now, they have a the Guild Lords have a lot more health. So it's not like rezzing a player. It's not going to be like a quick,
Oh, no.
quick res. It's kind of long.
Yes.
Right? So you need a lot of players in on that res, or you need to be very coordinated with it, right?
It's-
But your res utilities are going to be awesome for it.
Yes, yes. And you bring up a good point as well. This Lord does have more base health as well, more than Legacy of the Foe-Fire as well. So it's not going to be as easy to spike down.
All right, so skipping on to some more of the objectives here. We've got some barriers that are standing between me and you and the enemy Guild Lord.
Yes. So the biggest one is obviously, enemy lords is going to be back and kind of defended in its own little stronghold. So it's going to be back there. You see that you have 2 gates actually blocking your path. Players themselves can't damage gates. They rely on NPCs called door breakers, archers, to actually break those gates down.
All right, so I think this is a good segue into the NPCs in the map. So there are NPCs in the map, and they all serve very specific functions.
Yes.
They have very specific roles and duties.
Yes.
I said duties.
That's right.
Let's talk about door breakers first. Sure. And this is going to be your main tool for getting through these gates.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about how they actually function and what they do and what they can't do.
Sure. So you will summon these door breakers and archers at the barracks. The barracks,
Boom.
which looks like
I'm
that.
prepared. I'm
Excellent.
prepared.
Good man. The door breakers are there at the right-hand side. There you kind of see that door with the crack in it. That's where you're going to go to summon.
Would you call that a broken door?
I would say that's a broken door.
Okay.
The door breakers do not attack players at all. They will not stop when attacked, and they will just go straight to the door. That's their whole purpose. They have a single purpose, which is to get to that door and take it down. As soon as they get to the door, they'll start throwing their bombs to try to take that door down. If they're getting attacked, they rely on players to defend them. They do not defend themselves.
Okay, so really no damage to players at all. Like, do they take
Very-
any damage when they put bombs on the door? Is it still nominal?
Very
Okay.
little.
So no damage to players. Again, very focused on just going down that lane, focusing on that door, taking it out right away. Now, important things to mention, though, is that there is an animation that they use when they put the bomb down.
Yes.
So this is an opportunity for you to interrupt those door breakers.
Yep.
If you're a player using CC skills. You can also blind them.
Blind them, yep. Any form of CC, any form of blind, all those things also work on them. Obviously, you can knock them back and make them have to run back to the gates as well. All those things are really effective against those guys.
So when they're coming down the lane, you can also slow them down, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you can use immobilizes on them, you can use cripple, you can use chill.
Yep.
And really you want to do that because you want to just basically hold them back as long as possible until they get to that gate. Because as soon as they get to the gate, that's when they start doing damage.
Yeah, and they don't clear any of those things. They rely on players to do that. So if you cripple them for 10 seconds, they're crippled for 10 seconds, unless a player intervenes and gets that off of them.
Which actually brings up an interesting point where that you can actually apply boons, and any effect that you can apply to a player, you can apply to door breakers.
Exactly.
So it's very possible that you can lay down a blinding powder, blast it, and get some temporary stealth for you and the door breakers
Yep.
as you guide them down the lane.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, that's a very specific purpose for that player.
Exactly.
But you can give them swiftness, you can give them protection, you can really give them any boon that you would give a normal player, you can apply to these NPCs as well.
Exactly.
So this kind of factors into what we call the shepherd role, which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Yes.
But someone who's really exists only to buff those NPCs, keep them healed, and pushing them down the lane. Just
Keep
so they
them
can,
alive.
Yeah, so they can serve their purpose.
Yep.
So we've also got archers,
Yes.
which are a bit more damage focused.
Yeah, so they will actually attack as they go down the lanes. So if there's an enemy in the way, they'll stop and kind of fire. They don't do a ton of damage to players. It's more actually for their main purpose, which is to kill enemy guards. Guards are the NPCs that stand in front of the gates and in the actual stronghold that defend. Those they do extra damage to and take reduced damage from. Because the kind of the rock, paper, scissors there was those guards will actually one-shot door breakers. And they use like arrows and cleave and whatnot. So you got to be really careful. Because if you just send door breakers down willy-nilly without actually taking care of those guards, they'll just get one shot all day. You actually really need to clear those guys out.
So it brings up an interesting point to where that if you summon door breakers and archers, it's not a fire and forget kind of system.
No, definitely
Like
not.
you need to defend them from players, and you also need to defend them from the guarding NPCs that are going to be at those gates there.
Yes.
So we'll talk about these opening strategies a little bit later on in the show, but a good thing is to, when you actually summon your NPCs, to follow them, lead them down the lane, and clear out any NPCs that might be guarding the path.
Yep.
All right, so we talked about NPCs.
Yes.
But actually, how do you grab them?
So you need to get supply. So at the beginning of the match, everybody starts with one supply. And that kind of gives you an opening gambit for your team. However, once you spend that supply, you need to go get some more. So you can see in the middle of the map here, you have two little supply depots. They have infinite supply, so you can come back and get as much as you want, but you can only hold 2 supply at a time. So you're going to go, after you spend your initial supply, you can go over there and this is where like a lot of fights are going to happen, because this is like the lifeblood. This is what you need to get through the enemy gates. So you're going to see a lot of fights happening. You're going to see a lot of people do like the smuggler role, which is causing just constantly running supply and keeping pressure of NPCs on the map. And then it obviously opens up the stuff of offense and defense for each lane, which we'll talk about later as well.
Okay, you mentioned the maximum supply a player can have is 2
Yes.
from the supply depot.
Yes.
Now, there is an exception to this rule.
Yes. You can have extra supply if you kill somebody. If you die with supply, you drop supply. When you drop supply, you can pick that supply up and be over the max cap, but only to a certain limit.
Okay, I think it's 3, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can pick up 3 supply by killing an enemy player, and then run that back and potentially summon 3 NPCs at once.
Exactly.
Now, there is an alternate use for supply, which I guess we'll tie into the next one we talk about here. So one of our other objectives here is going to be the trebuchets.
Yes.
Now, each team owns 1.
Yes.
And they're on your side of the map. And what is the main use for these?
So it has a few main purposes. The big one, I think, is kind of to help out that mid fight. So if a team's really going in and really bunkering that middle area and stopping your progress, this kind of helps you get that map presence you need. Big AoEs, big knockdowns, big damage to clear out that middle area. So you as a team can send someone over to your trebuchet and kind of clear that stuff out for yourself and kind of turn that tide and make them come off of just bunkering in that middle point.
Now, you can see from, well, you could see a second ago. There we go. So you can see from the shot here, it's actually kind of hard to see mid.
Yeah, you have to blow out some of those buildings first.
So there we go. So the buildings are actually destructible.
Yes.
So you can actually use a trebuchet and knock all these buildings down. And then kind of you gain an advantage there because you can see more of the battlefield. You can move the trebuchet to where you want it to be.
Yep.
And you can rain the fiery balls of death from the sky.
It has a secondary objective as well, which is actually clearing out defensive NPCs. So if there's a large scale, like say you're 1 person on defense and you see like 5 door breakers coming down, you feel like, man, I can't take that out fast enough before they get to the gate. Jump on the trebuchet, fire a couple shots. This treb does extra damage to defensive NPCs, or I'm sorry, to spawned NPCs like door breakers and archers. So you can use that, fire a couple shots, clear everything out, and if someone doesn't come stop you, you can then start supporting the rest of the map with that.
And the added benefit there is that trebuchet does a knockback, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you got the big damage coming in from the ball of fire.
Yep.
But you're also going to get the little CC there, so it's good for stopping players who are advancing with those NPCs, and also just to delay those NPCs in general.
Exactly.
If you are successfully able to land multiple trap shots, you delay them substantially.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's one other objective on the map. Well, only one more, guys.
Only one.
Only one more. It's probably one of the biggest ones, and this is kind of our, how do you make sure the map doesn't, like how do you add like a moment of excitement to the map, essentially. Basically, we have the hero system.
Yes.
And I'll kind of let you talk through when they spawn, where they spawn, and like what happens.
Sure. So periodically with the map on a 3-minute cadence, a little event will come up and say like, hey, in 30 seconds, you will see a mist essence appear on the map. And the first one, it'll spawn either north or south. And then after that, it'll spawn the subsequent. So if it's spawned north, then it'll spawn south at the next 3-minute mark. But what happens is when this thing spawns, you will interact with it for about 10 seconds. And when you do, you'll spawn a hero for your side that will spawn at your barracks and run down the offensive lane. Now, the hero themselves, by standing near them, you get a defensive buff. That defensive buff is huge. 50% reduced damage, 50% reduced condition duration. So by standing next to this guy, he is pretty much making you pretty much unstoppable. But he kind of interacts similar to like a doorbreaker. He won't defend himself. He's just going to run down to the nearest objective that will stop him, and then he'll start to defend himself. He'll start fighting in that sense. So he kind of buffs you and empowers you to go forward on the offense, and then when he gets that thing, he'll kind of start fighting it out.
So another way to put that is that the NPCs don't exist to fight players, essentially.
No.
They're there to serve very specific roles and to meet certain objectives and try to help obtain certain objectives. So you have the heroes there. Really, they're focused in on those doors. They're going to rush down. I mean, their ultimate goal in life is to go for that Lord.
Is the Lord room.
Now, once you actually get down that far, so let's show here, who's this hero, by the way?
We got Mr. Trebuche. Some of you may remember him from The Living Story, as well as if you played Guild Wars 1 as the ghostly hero. We brought him back. Trebuche is one of the heroes you can play on in Stronghold.
All right, so his ultimate goal is to, obviously, we got some of the NPCs here. He's going to try to bash these gates down.
Yep.
And then his ultimate goal is to, well, bash these NPCs
But
down here as
more
well.
NPCs,
More guards.
He's going through it all.
This guy looks like he's
Ready to brawl.
He's ready to rumble. So finally, we get
There
into
you
the
go.
Lord room. So once he pops in the middle into the room here, what's he going to do?
So the hero has a specific skill they use when they get into the Lord room that does 25% damage of everyone in the room, as well as knocks everyone down. So obviously, if the main objective of the game mode is to kill the enemy lord, and the lord has a fairly substantial amount of health, and there's probably going to be a lot of people in here fighting you and defending against you, if you can get that hero in there and you can get that skill off, not only are you getting the damage reduction buff by standing near and fighting, but he's going to knock everyone down, including players. Now, mind you, you can dodge it. It's unblockable, but you can dodge it. But the lord doesn't dodge. The lord doesn't block it, and it will just take that 25%. So really, really important when you start getting the double hero spawns going on the map to get, if you can get 2 of them in that room, that's 50%.
Yeah.
Right, like right off the top. I mean, that can easily down an enemy or the lord instantly.
So as the map progresses, those heroes become more and more frequent on the map, right?
Yes.
So the first 3 minutes of the map are probably some of the most important. Like you want to get those doors down early.
Yes.
And start putting some pressure on the enemy there.
Exactly.
But as the map progresses, you start having heroes spawning more and more often.
Yes.
They'll spawn 2 at a time. Now, at that point in the map, you have a lot of options open to you, right? You've got to defend. You've got to be pushing. You've got to make sure that they're not just getting supply all day long and gathering that. You've got to make sure if your gate's down, your lord's defended, right?
Yep.
But you also have to deal with these hero spawns, which means you need at least one player on each side, either defending or trying to channel that.
Yep.
I don't know if you mentioned it before, but these channels are not like they are what you see in PvP typically.
Yeah, they're a little different.
Yeah, so you actually have to CC a player that's channeling those buffs.
Yes.
So if they have stability, you have to wait for that to fall off either, or you have to CC them so much that it'll go through.
Yep.
Or you need to strip that stab.
Yes, so stab stripping as well as, being able to like bunker that thing for 10 seconds, it's going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah.
But if you can bring the right builds to do that stuff as well as the right builds to channel, it's going to be really important.
We've seen some really cool plays. We mentioned Tears all the time with this amazing build she runs. She runs a support guardian.
Yep.
And she runs Sanctuary. And she'll pop it down and she'll go for that full channel there. And unless the enemy team has stability, like they have a really hard time trying to go in there and actually do anything about Tears on that.
Yep.
So there's a lot of interesting strategies around that, but there's so many. The point is, there's so many different things you need to be focused on.
Yeah.
That really making the right decisions at the right time is really what's going to actually win the game for you.
Yeah, it's a lot of moments that define who wins and who loses.
So that is the map. Hopefully you guys got that all jotted down now.
Yeah, just write that down, guys.
But we want to talk a little bit about strategy. So we've got a little mini map here, and I'm going to do my best John Madden impression.
Please, I would really appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to this, and so I'm going to draw some squiggly lines in this mini map we've got here, and we're going to talk about some stuff you should do. So I would say for the purposes of this little mental exercise,
sure,
we should pretend that we are the red team, because I'm a little partial to the pirate.
I love yes. So you are a little partial to the pirate.
A little partial to the pirate. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Okay, let's do this.
So you spawn right here.
Please don't.
No. So anyways, you spawn right here, and the first 2 minutes of the map are the most important.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of different things you need to watch out for here. So as you mentioned before, everyone spawns with 1 supply.
Yes.
So you've got 5 players in the base with 1 supply each, and the first move you make here is very important.
Yes.
I would say for the purposes of the open beta, I would recommend that everyone attempt to spend that supply at the beginning of the map.
I agree.
So the idea is you want to run out here and you want to go right for your barracks. Now this is that little screenshot we showed you guys earlier with the 2 icons there. You had the door breaker and the archer icon.
Yep.
I would say we want to focus in on summoning 5 door breakers.
Yeah. I think that opening gambit of just 5 door breakers it forces the enemy to have to play defense. It forces the split, right? Because if you don't, unless they don't, and then you just go for the race, the all Zerg strategy. But a lot of times what you'll see is, and when we talk about the split specifically, it forces the enemy team to put a few people on defense, a few people on offense, and have someone running.
So you're about 30 seconds in the map now, I would say. Maybe 20 seconds in the map. You've spent all your supply. You've got your 5 players, and they are just chilling right here.
Yep.
Now, this next move is what's really important.
Yes.
There is really 3 different places you need to be watching out for right now.
Yes.
Because the enemy team is doing the exact same thing, right?
Exactly.
So you've got 5 door breakers that are beginning to push down the lane here. So they're going to be heading down, trying to break into that keep over there.
Yep.
And they've got 5 of the same.
Exactly.
So you got 5 door breakers on each side, and you've got 5 players that you can move around the map.
Exactly.
Wherever you want them to go.
Spend your resources now at this point.
So we've talked about this a bit, and we think the most successful strategy, at least to try to get your feet wet, right, is probably going to be a 2-1-2 split.
Yes. 2 offense, 1 mid, 2 defense.
Yeah. So what you're going to want to do is we recommend having a player who can do support role well.
Yes, exactly.
And you want to have them go down the lane with your door breakers here.
Yes.
You're probably going to also want to have someone there who can do damage, just because you're undoubtedly going to meet some opposition.
As well as the defensive guards there as well that you need to take out before the door breakers get there.
Yep, absolutely. So we would recommend 2 players going down lane here. Again, 1 support, 1 player who can do damage.
Yep.
This isn't absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
It can vary.
Of course.
Like you could run like a Celestial Engineer and have them go down lane. They can do Healing Turret, which is great AoE healing.
Yep.
So you can use that. Staff Elementalist is actually something we've seen be really popular.
Yeah.
Just because there can be large fights. We've got some NPCs. You've got a lot of players grouped up.
Yep.
So it's been very successful as well.
Yes.
So anyways, you want to have 2 players going down this lane here. 1 player probably in mid, and they're probably going to send another player mid as well. So
Yes.
there's kind of 2 different options you can go with here. It's either you just summon supply and forget the other guy exists,
Yep.
or you can skirmish him on mid, go
You
for
can
a
do
little
the
duel.
1v1.
You can go for the 1v1, try to take him out there. The 1v1's a bit risky in mid though because you're really right in the middle of the action.
Yeah.
Like only like 50 feet away on each side, you've got members of the other teams, battling out inside the lanes. And so if they decide to rotate a player into that midpoint, you might get crushed. It really depends on who rotates faster.
Yeah, it's pretty much you can get +1 at any moment, right?
Yeah, and that's gonna be a big part of this map too. Is calling heads, knowing where to rotate
Yes.
to. These are just kind of suggestions on where you should start the map out. But if you run down the defensive lane and they only send 1 guy there, and you're there with 3 guys, you're defending with 3 guys. There's only 1 enemy. You're probably overcommitting.
Yes.
And you probably shouldn't be there.
Yep.
So you want to immediately talk to your teammates, figure out, okay, obviously we've got too many people here. Where do we need to be?
Yep.
Is there a big fight in mid right now? Are they being really defensive? Do I need to
Yes.
help support the door breakers? What's the call? And as the game progresses and you've got heroes on the map, it becomes that much more important to communicate with your team. If you have all your players, we've done this so many times.
I know.
In internal playtests where
I know.
we'll be like, oh, the heroes respond, and you go over there and like all the teams are there.
Yeah,
you've
you're
got like
like,
10
well-
guys there. It's like okay. Then someone tries to leave. All of a sudden, all 10 guys leaving
Yes.
because it's Benny Hill theme.
Yes,
sometimes.
exactly.
We're getting good now.
We're
Yeah.
definitely much better than when we started, because when we started, we were a little rough on the edges, but
All right. So, anyways, so you want to do 2-1-2.
yes,
You've got the 2 going right up down the defensive lane, 1 in mid, and then 1 in the
offensively.
offensive lane.
Yep.
Probably, I would say, the most sound strategy, at least for kind of getting your feet getting your feet wet in the map. There are a lot of other variations you can do. You can do we've seen the 5-0-0,
0-0.
which is you just go. You can either do full offense,
The Zerg strategy.
where you still want that support character. You can keep the NPCs healed, probably throw some prod around.
Yep.
You want a lot of cleanses because they can take conditions.
Yep.
But basically, you go all in. You try to do the rush strategy.
Yep.
Again, on the inverse, you can do the full defense.
Yeah, the full defense, and
We've seen it a couple times. It does not do that well.
it definitely has problems.
And the main problem is going to be heroes.
Yes.
So a couple things in the map actually generate score, which is
Actual
something we did not talk about. So we probably should right meow.
Right now.
So Hugh, what do you get score from?
So score is kind of like the tiebreaker mechanic. So we do have time on the map because we like the idea of making sure the maps
Short, fast-paced.
short, fast paced. Always keep it. Be very kind to people's time, so you don't have these hour-long matches and whatnot. So we did have to add a tiebreaker mechanic, which is score. So by killing enemy players, spawning heroes, breaking gates, killing defensive guards, obviously killing the Lord, all these things generate score and put you ahead of the enemy team. All these things are for the offense. There's really nothing defensively that gives you things other than killing players.
Yep.
That's the only place defensively you can get points.
So that makes it very hard for players to bunker inside their stronghold, to just sit there and wait for the players to come to them.
Yep.
Because really, map control is going to be super important.
It's very important.
You have the heroes that spawn, and as you can see, if we go back to the sweet mini map here, as you can see, they're centrally located here, right? You got one here, and you got one there.
Yep.
Now, if you're being completely defensive, say you're sitting inside your keep here, more than likely this red team's going to be very offensive, pushing up, and they're going to be all the way against your gates.
Yep.
Which puts you in a rough spot to try to push past them
Yep.
unnoticed.
Exactly.
And try to go for those hero spawns. So really, anyone who's on the offense is already going to be at a massive advantage. And this kind of helps push the map along as well.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to be in a position to where a guy bunkers all game, and they all of a sudden come back with this crazy hero spawn, and then
they just
they win the game.
Yeah, and the good thing too is the hero actually gives the defensive buff. So if they want to put 5 on defense and you get a hero and you put 5 on offense, you're not gonna take any damage,
Yep.
right? You're just gonna be able to just run into them and just beat them because they don't have that buff and you do.
Yep. So the map is it's really important on this map to stay offensive, to not try to turtle, to push down the lane. Obviously, when you summon those bosses, or the heroes rather, you also get the hero there, which is great, with the 50% reduction to conditions and damage. But they also give you score.
Yes.
So if you're knocking down gates and you're summoning heroes, I mean, even if they're bunkering so well that you can't break that gate down, like if you got the heroes there, like that's going to give you so many points ahead that they're not going to be able to come back from that.
Exactly.
So that was really important to us, is that you just couldn't do stalemate gameplay. Like
you couldn't just bunker and win.
Yeah. So anyway, so being on the offense is always going to be key here. Now you could do the 4-0-1.
Yeah, and this is actually one that we see some, like, it's pretty effective. You have 4 people on offense, just really strong. Their goal is most likely, unless they put a lot of people on defense, they'll get that first gate down guaranteed.
Yep.
And what happens then next is they'll go inside the enemy base, clear all the NPCs out, and if they have any NPCs left, a door breaker left, they have a potential of actually getting that second gate down right away. But they have the one guy on defense to kind of slow down the enemy team's offense. They get on the Treb, they start bombarding enemy creep waves, try to be that force that makes them have to commit someone to supply, and then they kind of won the opening engagement, right? Because the second all the NPCs die on offense for the team that went 4-0-1, they have to come back and actually get some supply and resupply their actual force to go offense again.
Yep. All right, so we talked about kind of the 3 main strategies there. Again, we're really saying 2-1-2 is probably your best bet for having like a balanced experience in the map, making sure that you can jump in. You know, if you're going to be solo queuing, you have to coordinate with people. You have to say, hey guys, so we're all new to this.
Yep.
Let's accept that. Let's try to strategize here. Hugh and Josh, very reputable guys, told me on Reddit that I should do 2-1-2, and they'll be like, oh, those guys are solid. We should do that.
Yeah, like I think one of the big things too is just calling what you want to, what role you want to do. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm D. Anybody else on D? Anybody else? What's you O? Okay, cool. So we got 1 O, 1 D. Who's running? Okay, you're running. Cool. And then you can have that conversation.
Yep.
Well played.
So anyways, for the players who are going to be playing with the guilds, right? And there's a good chunk of guys out there. Obviously, everyone, even if you're not the most experienced PvP player, there is some, something interesting about playing. Some of the first expansion content that's available for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're probably going to play as a group.
Yeah.
A lot of guilds out there. So we do have some builds here that we would recommend. Now, we're not going to go over them in depth or anything like that, but we're just going to talk about them a little bit here. And maybe some suggested alterations to those.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this is just to say, this is what we've seen be successful during our playtests.
Yeah.
But there's probably going to be an entire meta that spawns out of this that I just do not possess the ability to crystal ball.
Of all of our months of playing, in probably a few hours of the community having their hands with it, they'll have a totally different meta than what we have.
Absolutely. So anyways, support guardians are actually great. So we talked about tiers of running that build quite a bit. Now, instead of running renewed focus for your lead, I would strongly suggest running Book of Courage. It's kind of hard. You have to play these balanced builds. Like, everyone's going to try to have like a very focused role. Like, I'm going to be the shepherd. I'm going to push down lane. There's going to be times where you get wrecked in lane.
Yeah.
You're going to be on respawn, and you need to be able to support your allies at that Lord fight or at those gate fights.
Yep.
Having that Book of Courage for your hero, or for, well, it could be either for your hero, actually.
Or Lord, either.
Or for the Lord. Like, that's a full heal on something that's got a lot of HP.
Yeah.
So, like, we've seen some clutch plays already where someone gets that book off the last second, and the attacking team wipes, and it's like this huge moment.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
But something like Sanctuary works really great too, especially for summoning buffs. Again, we keep talking about Tirza just because she carries.
She carries the enemy, the teams. She puts the book on door breakers, so the enemy, the guards try to hit them and just bounce off, and then you try to use skills and it just bounces off.
Yep.
Super good. Like, Sanctuary is amazing.
Yep. So we talk a bit about Shoutbow. So Shoutbow is really popular on live right now, especially for Conquest. It's actually good in this mode as well, just because you can heal the NPCs. So if you want to be in that shepherd role, or you want to guide those NPCs down lane, you also do pretty good damage.
Yep.
Hugh runs Shoutbow mostly in our internal playtests. Does pretty well.
Yep.
We talked about Staff Ellie a bit. Staff Ellie is totally viable.
Oh, super good.
A lot of healing, obviously, so you can use it for those really close fights on top of your Lord or on the enemy Lord.
As well as good AoE, big AoEs, which is perfect.
Being able to clean conditions with the Staff 5 and water is amazing.
Super, super good.
Yep. So Staff Ellie, actually a pretty good role in this map. We talked about Stealth Thief a little bit earlier. Being able to blast your blinding powder and escort NPCs down the lane is pretty interesting.
Totally different playstyle from what you'd think.
They do get revealed though if they attack, so they can't do it permanently, but they can kind of use it for a little bit of a sneak.
Yeah.
Now, it needs to be coordinated, though, because you can't, if you want to time them correctly, you need to summon them all at the same time. So you need 5 players summoning at the same time for that initial knocking the door down kind of thing.
Yeah, no.
You can still stealth one, or 2, but they're going to be split apart.
And this is something actually we didn't talk about, which makes this really good, is any NPC that's spawned on the map actually shows up on the map.
Yep.
So he has like a little icon on the mini map that runs down the lane. You can see, so you can look at the enemy lane and go, okay, they got 3 archers, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But if you stealth them, you don't see those.
Yep.
So all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm on defense. I'm like, oh, there's nothing coming down the lane. I'm going to go run some supply. All of a sudden you look back and there's 4 icons all of a sudden right at your gate. You're like, whoa. And then you know, it's really strong.
Sneak attack.
It's sneak attack. It's really good.
All right. Also good ones, Portal Mesmer. If you guys seen any of the strong, I think there's a clip of Jessica doing it.
Jessica doing it. It was really, really clutch.
Basically being able to spend your initial supply and then drop your portal entry or exit down.
Yep.
Then you run into mid, grab 2 supply, pop your portal. You can turn that supply in immediately, and you still have time to jump back into the portal and get back to mid, so you can do another supply run.
Yep.
So actually having a Portal Mesmer run your supply or be that smuggler role
Yep.
at the beginning of the match can spike you up in terms of NPCs very, very quickly.
As well as all the plays of being able to like help on defense and then immediately transition back to offense. Just the amount of mobility.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you think Legacy of the Foe Fire with the portal plays when you go for the Lord Rushes is
Yeah.
huge, imagine when that's the actual objective of the entire map
Yeah.
is to try to sneakily infiltrate the enemy keep and take that Lord out.
We've seen all kinds of great plays where like you'll get a hero and immediately teleport back to offense and clear everything out while your hero's pushing down. So the hero's pretty much not even the biggest threat. It's all the players that are now in your base.
Yep.
And all of a sudden the hero just sneaks in, uses its skill at full health, and you can't stop it.
Now the next one probably needs some frowning faces out there for because they're going to say, Grouch, you have no idea what you're talking about. But Condition Necro is actually really great in this map because you have a solid base, depending on what you're attacking, to build conditions off of to Epidemic.
Oh, Epidemic.
There are a lot of AoE fights, there are a lot of large-scale fights in this map, and if you can use something like the enemy hero to build your conditions on, and then use it to Epidemic off of, it's huge. I mean, a lot of players are familiar with doing this stuff of Ranger Pets.
Yeah.
You build up on the Ranger Pet, usually they don't swap or they're kind of spacing out. You build that Epidemic off of it because they're not going to cleanse themselves, right? They're also pulling conditions off of the players because of Emphatic Bond.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can get these big bombs off.
Yeah, and it's especially when you're doing coordinated pushes with NPCs. So you're not usually sending a single NPC down the lane. It's usually multiple NPCs, multiple players, all in a nice little tight net space. On Epidemic, you just wipe out everybody.
Yep. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's really good.
Especially Cygnus Spite, you get that cripple on there, and then all the NPCs are just kind of going down the lane slow. Anyways,
super
a lot
good.
of really cool plays there.
Yeah.
So recommended. Would be interested in seeing how that works out
Yeah,
next
definitely.
week. Last one is going to be Longbow Ranger.
Super,
We've got
super good.
some Ranger mains.
That's right.
On the competitive team who play this, and so it's actually really great because the lanes are long, as you guys have seen from the videos and from the minimap here. They're pretty long and kind of a straight shot, and so you can use that maximum 1500 range to kind of to plink those NPCs down before they get to the door. Doesn't really help if there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Especially in kind of split out out there, but. Anyways, it's really good for just kind of getting early damage on them until they get to the door, and you can try to wipe them out pretty easily.
Yeah. The only thing is, as soon as they get in the actual base, it kind of curves a little bit, so it's not as good as soon as you get in, but it's really strong on that initial first push.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
really strong.
We mentioned Engineer earlier as well. Like, obviously, Celestial Engineer is going to be great on this map. We've had some other ones run. We've had some Bunker Engineers that tried to do it. Someone was playing Bombs with Healing, which is pretty interesting with like a Cleric's Amulet.
Yep.
Basically, he's trying to be that support role. Pretty viable, actually, because it's all AoE healing.
Yep.
Pumps out a pretty decent amount as well, especially with Healing Turret.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just a lot of options here.
It's fun to see some of the meta builds really work well. Conquest meta builds working in here, as well as seeing those meta builds but tweaked slightly.
Yep.
So you have different purposes or more defined purposes.
Yep.
Work really well.
Yep, absolutely. So those are our suggested builds and suggested strategies for you guys to employ.
Yep.
Again, this is happening next week on Tuesday, starting at 12 p.m. April 14th.
That's right.
Runs for 24 hours. And we will be accompanying it with the 23-hour live stream.
23.
23-hour live stream.
A 1 hour break.
Yeah, 1 hour break. We're going to kick off with Blue at 1 p.m. PST next Tuesday. He'll be starting it off for us. We'll also have the Battle of the Bands, all that good stuff. Hopefully some shame happens for one of these two teams. Not entirely sure who's going to lose. But
If
I have
the
my...
competitive loses,
Oh, yeah, it's going to be shameful.
I'll be very upset.
Anyways, guys, one of the most important things about the beta, though, is that the entire purpose of this is to get feedback on the map. We want to know what you guys think about it.
Yeah.
We want to find areas where we can improve the map.
Exactly.
What things should change. We want to hear if you love it, obviously.
Yeah.
Hugh is absolutely waiting, just anticipating the ability to hear you guys' feedback.
Yeah.
So as soon as you guys jump in, start playing some matches, please jump on our forums. Tell us what's going on. Get on Reddit. Get on Twitter. Tell us what's going on. and we'll be there listening.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys think, as well as the feedback and any ways we can improve. I think all those things are. I just can't wait. I just want players to get their hands on it.
Yep.
And it's going to come really soon.
I got one other thing for you guys real quick here before we head off. I just want to mention there are a couple community tournaments out there that are forming right now. If you guys go on the PvP forums, there is the Aspect Gaming, which is formerly Misspedia.
Yep.
They're setting up a pug tournament where
I saw
you
about this.
have to sign up solo, and you get paired up with other players, and they'll try to rank you guys and get you with good groups. But it's entirely a free sign up. Go in and just go crazy and have a good time. So there's no worry about having full pre-mades get in there, trying to ruin your fun. It'll just be, it's for all the free agents out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Of course, we still have the ESL Go for Cups on Sundays. We also have there's some Aspect and ESL Cups that happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
And then we also have the Academy Gaming Cups on Mondays, which are more focused on the kind of the up-and-comers and the newer players. So anyways, guys, that's information's all over the forums, the PvP forums to be exact.
Yep.
And anyways, we hope you guys have fun next week, and we'll see you in Stronghold.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching.